Tuesday, everybody. How are we doing here this evening? Let me get my volume set here. Everybody hear me okay? I hope. We have a special guest here again tonight. Crystal Groves, Kettle Farms, is going to give us some more information about Canva. And I don't know if they have some new things, I think. And of course, she's all the time coming up with something new. So let me see if I can grab her here. We're going to put her on the screen. She's going to share the screen, and it's going to kind of pretty much be her show, but I'm going to kind of sit back here in the background, and I'll needle her every now and then. If you would, any questions you have, please put them in all caps. We will relay those to Crystal, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're here, so thank you all for being here. There you go, Crystal.
What's up, everybody? Always good to be here on Two Family, hanging out with Sherry and Daryl and all the smudge folks. I have you up on my screen so I can see questions. If you guys have any questions in the chat, I'll see it on my TV, kind of monitoring as I go. But Daryl, if you want to give me some co-hosting abilities, we'll go ahead and get started.
Co-hosting? You're good.
Yeah, so I can share my screen.
I think you just do that, do you not?
Yeah, I have to, because it's by default disabled, you have to make me a co-host or host, one of the two. Co-host works though, because then you get to retain the host capabilities. You should be able to just hit the little icon next to my name and then hit make a co-host. I see we have Shayla from Making Lemonade from Lemons, Lazy Acres, Autumn Oaks, Little Feet Farm.
Well, Crystal, here we go. It allows me to make you the host, and that's all I can do. So.
Let's see.
So I guess you will be the host.
Oh. It's weird that it doesn't let you co-host.
Well, I know we didn't do any of that last time.
Yeah.
But I also know that with all the crazy people out there.
Yeah. They probably changed some settings and stuff. All right. So let me open up. I'm going to do most of what I'm showing today, just some of the new features of Canva that are useful for people when they want to create their own graphics in the free version, because I know that's important. Homesteaders are always trying to find ways to be frugal and save money. So we're going to do what we can in the free. And then if I have to show you some of the paid stuff, I can. I prefer paid because I do this a lot for my business. And if you're creating graphics every day, it's probably worth it. But if you're on a budget, then the free is what you got. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So Canva is a web-based platform for those of you that have not been to any of the other example videos. So you log in, you create your account, and you have the capabilities to make all kinds of cool stuff all in your web browser. And they have a phone app. It's pretty decent for creating like quick one-offs or something. But there is some functionalities you can't do on a phone app, obviously. So to me, it's better to do it in your browser. Some of the stuff we did in previous videos. So I want to go ahead. Let me move my face out of here. Nobody wants to see that. We're going to create, let's see what we could do for YouTube. They always have new things they're adding. So we can do let's do thumbnail size stuff, because this is also the type of width and height that we would use for something like ending credit scenes. Your channel thumbnail, the picture that Sherry and Daryl used in today's thumbnail for this video, you can, that same size you can use for this particular template that we're going to put together. But let's see. I think what I'm going to do is, I know Mama Z was talking about with me on Marco earlier, creating kind of your end credits scene. So I was thinking about doing something like that. We could also do just creating a YouTube thumbnail with Canva. So if you guys have any preference, feel free to share it in the chat. I can certainly adjust. I'll keep an eye out on that. But let's go ahead and do a thumbnail. Maybe something like the best pizza in New York, which I've never had pizza in New York, but basically you have the ability, once you have the size of the type of graphic you're creating, which for this one is the YouTube thumbnail, it provides you with all kinds of cool templates that you can start out with. You don't have to use it exactly like it's displayed here. And some of them are categorized like tutorial thumbnail, which a lot of us do tutorials in the homesteading community, beauty, food. We have a lot of people that cook in the homestead community, do cooking videos. So there might be some good thumbnail templates here you can start with. Something like this one's kind of cool. I'm not sure I like the shapes in the background there, but you can kind of pick one that kind of gives you the vibe or the starting point that you're interested in for your thumbnail. I kind of like that pizza one. Let's stick with that one. And then you manipulate it to be what it is that you actually want. So for me, if I was doing a recipe video, Kettle Farms is very much teal. Like I use teal in all of our branding. I try to be consistent with my branding. I see Sean in Alaska. Hello. So one of the things I'll do is you can kind of click around and see all the different places there are things that you can edit. So you've got your text here. It kind of highlights the outline of that element. If I click the background, you can kind of see in the background what kind of element that is. And then these little pinkish squares in the background. So that would be something, if I was doing this for Kettle Farms, I wouldn't want the pink. Pink does not go with Kettle Farms. What I would do is go up here where you can select the color, and I would change it to, I think we go with the lighter blue for Kettle Farms. Now it'll change the first one I selected, but you have at the bottom here the ability to change all of the pink to blue, and it just makes it easier because there might be a lot of elements that are that color. You don't have to do each one individually. So if I do that, now everything that was that color is now the teal. So that kind of goes with Kettle Farms. Now, what I don't like is now the white text over the blue. It's a little hard to read. I don't think that would stand out much on a thumbnail in like a big list on YouTube. So we have to figure out ways to make this text stand out a little better. And this is one of the new features of Canva that I like. We used to have an issue where you couldn't do drop shadows. There's a couple other elements that you couldn't do. Drop shadows was the big one. And so the way we got around that is we would, and I'll do a sample of it here, we would basically duplicate this layer. So there's two of them, and there's a little icon here at the top called duplicate. So if I hit that, now I've got two of that text. And then the back one, select the back one here, we would make that like a black or a dark color. And then we would just kind of like slowly manipulate and move the top layer. So now it looks like it's got like this drop shadow, which works. I mean, you still, that definitely makes the text stand out a little better, but we don't have to do that anymore because they finally added, so let me delete the fake one. They finally added the ability to have drop shadows. And what they're calling this now is effects. So when we hit effects up here, this is the new menu item. Now it gives us some sample effects that you can play with, and definitely play with these things. There are a lot. I had a lot of fun playing with these the other day, but you see there's a shadow one now. So if I click that one, now what it does is it creates the shadow by default. It might be hard to see because it's like a white shadow, which, I mean, it looks kind of cool, but I don't want, I think it's more like a gray. You have the ability to change the color of your shadow. So I could do like a dark blue if I wanted to stick with the blue theme. You could do a black. And click out of here. And then once you have decided on your color, you have the ability to do a couple other changes to your drop shadow. Offset is essentially how far it sticks out from the base of the text. So the shadow might be a couple pixels below. It could be a couple pixels below, above. But how far out do you want it to be? The further out I move, you see how it gets further separated from the top text here. The further I move it in, the closer it gets, the thinner it gets, to the point where you can make it go away completely. Now for this, considering this is a very blocky image, I'd probably go big for this one, because you really want it to fit with the theme of whatever you're trying to create. Plus, I think it makes the text on this one stand out a little better. You can also change the direction. Do you want the drop shadow to be at the bottom? Sometimes you can have them at the top. So if I started moving this around, you see how the drop shadow kind of changes now. Now it's at the top of the text. If I drag it, it can be just to the left of the text. Kind of looks like it's a race car at that point, like it's racing. If I go all the way to the left here, now it's to the right. Personally, I still like it kind of bottom right. I think that's your typical stance, but I mean, you can change it to be, ooh, that looks a little loopy. So we're gonna leave it kind of bottom right like that. Blur is the ability to make the lines of the shadow behind the text not so sharp. So, sorry, I was checking the comments real quick. So blur, right now there's no blur. So the edges of that drop shadow behind the text are pretty sharp. But if I were to drag this little thing, I guess it's a dot, it starts to kind of soften it, and it comes more like an actual shadow. It's not so, like here, it's sharp. It's like an extra layer of lettering, but here it's just kind of fuzzy. And that's kind of cool too. I kind of dig that. And you can make it go where it's just like a very, very basic light shadow. I kind of like to do it somewhere in the middle here. So now it's not so sharp around these edges on the text, which is kind of cool. And then transparency. Now we have the color set as black, but you'll notice it's not really a deep black. It was kind of like half and half, more like a gray. And that's because the transparency is set to 40. If I were to say, I don't want any transparency, I want it to be very bold black, then I would make it up to 100. There's no transparency. And now you can see it's like really dark, which for this, it's actually kind of cool because you got a lot going on here with these pizza pictures. There's a lot of distraction here. You really need to figure out a way to make the text stand out. So I would do the black for this probably, but you can go really, really light. If you just want it to be a very gentle drop shadow, then you would drop the transparency down to like 20. Normally I'd probably do somewhere in the middle. The 40 was actually pretty good, but for this image, I would probably go a little more bolder because I feel like that's going to make that white text stand out a lot better than something down here. So those are the settings you can change on your shadow. But there are other effects. We're going to go through a couple of those. So I'm actually going to duplicate this page, which for those unfamiliar with Canva, you have the ability to have multiple pages. So let's say I have this one. I'm like, I really like the way this looks, but I'm going to try a couple different styles and see if I like one better, but I don't want to lose what I did in case I change my mind. So what I normally do is I just create another duplicate page on my same, I guess, graphic here. And then I'll start to manipulate this one. And if I decide I don't like it, then I always have that one. So for this one, we're going to try some of these other elements. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete these pizza images because they are a little noisy. So we're going to do maybe some space images. And one thing that I like about Canva is it has all this really cool artwork. And again, everything I'm doing right now is on the free version. So everything I've done so far, you guys can do. I can show you some of the new stuff on the paid version too, but for now, we're just going to do the free. So it has stock photography that you can use for certain things. And I've definitely used this in my channel. Especially because there's photography here that I'm never going to be able to take with my phone. So for example, if I wanted to have a nice, cool purple space photo here, maybe I wanted to get a little Star Wars in the middle here. And let's see, maybe some blue over here. That's still a little busy. Obviously, this isn't one that I would actually do it like this, but I wanted to show that you have the ability to kind of change out these photos. If I just wanted one solid graphic, what I would do is delete that whole 3-image section and just drag. We're going to Star Wars this one. Drag a photo in here to me that looks like I'm racing towards pizza, to be quite honest. So I've got my graphic. You'll see these lines and then the text Canva in the middle. Generally what that means is this is an image that you have to pay for.
Crystal,
Now, if you, yes,
on the free version, can you upload your own graphics, and is there a size limitation?
yes, you can upload your own graphics. There is an upload icon here. Let me see if I have one that I can upload real quick. I've done a couple different photo things recently, so let's upload this. Basically, you can select as many as you want and upload them. I don't know. Oh, this is the wrong file. It has to be a certain file. Like this, that one wasn't a good file to use, sorry. But this one's a JPEG. So it has to be, actually, I'll show you guys that screen real quick. When you upload, it has to be a PNG, a JPEG, SVGs, MP4s. You can upload videos. So if you have like a quirky small video, I don't know what the limitations on size are. I haven't hit them yet. So let me put it that way. I'm sure they probably have them, but I have not hit them yet.
Okay.
They may not have one.
Okay, and the only reason I mention that is because there are some wonderful free sites for pictures.
Yes. Yeah, if you can upload your own picture, then even better. Actually, let's do this one. So I can, there we go. So I'm uploading an image real quick, and you'll see it kind of has like this upload bar here. And now that it's uploaded, I can either just click on it and it automatically throws it in the image of whatever I'm trying to create right now, or you can drag it in and then place it wherever you want. So yeah, you can upload your own images. If you can get some free stock photography off, what were some of the ones that you guys used there? It was like Pixlr, not Pixlr, Pixelbee, I think.
Pixabay, Pexels, Unsplash are the three big ones.
Yeah. Now, if you were looking at photos to use from Canva, you can see the ones that are paid for, they have this little crown icon. It's for the pro version, but there are a bunch that are just free. Like if I just wanted to use this one, that's a free graphic I can use and download and manipulate however I see fit. Or you can pay individually for graphics too. So if I really wanted this Star Wars type one and I wanted to download it as an image, I'd go up here to your download function. This is your big button for downloading anything that you create. But I would hit download. Let me move my picture out of the way. And then it gives you the option to buy this image. It says there's 2 premium, but I think it's because one of these this pizza one here isn't free. So you can buy, actually, I'm just going to try the second one. I don't want that first one. So now it just has the one image in page 2 that I would want to download. And it tells you it's about $1. And I think for standard, I think all of them are $1. I can't think of one that costs more than $1 that I've had to pay for. But again, if you have the pro version, then all of these are free. You don't have to pay for any of them. Hidden Oak says, does the pro version allow for clear backgrounds and ping, etc.? Yes. That's actually the main reason that I bought the pro version, so that I could have images with transparent backgrounds. Because I need those a lot for what I do. So yes, you can do, and I could probably log into my pro account later. But yeah, when you download this, these are all part of the pro version. You see that same crown. You can also change the size. If you are downloading for, let's say, a business card, or you can design your own flyers and posters, like pretty much anything print you can design in Canva, and it lets you download to the proper size for that. And sometimes for print, you need like really high resolution. So it gives you the ability to up your resolution while you're downloading it, which is kind of nice. I don't see any other questions real quick. So yeah, the pro version is about $19 a month. And yeah, you can design t-shirts. If you have a t-shirt that you really want, like your logo on it and everything, you can design it here and send that file to Sherry and Daryl. And I mean, they can print the t-shirt for you. What file format do you guys prefer for that, Daryl?
Oh, for
like maybe a ping?
For t-shirts?
Yeah.
Actually, well, the best is going to be some sort of a vector image, an SVG or something would be the best, because we can resize those infinitely and not lose any detail, but most people can't do that. So the largest picture possible in any format possible.
Okay, so what I would suggest is the largest that you can do in Canva. Sorry, I'm hitting my mouse wrong here. So I would drag, if I was on the pro version, I would drag this little icon as far up as I could, get the largest version possible, and download it as either a PNG or a PDF. PDF has a pretty good quality as well for printing. And that's what I send a lot of my printers that need to print stuff for business cards or whatever, is I'll just do the PDF version. Hidden Oak says they use the free version for their thumbnails. That's awesome. Yeah, and they do have a free trial. So if you definitely know that you have things that you want to try out in this and download and keep and use, then, you know, sign up for the 30-day free trial. You get access to everything. You have 30 days to create what you need, and then you can drop down to the free version. So there's always that as well. Okay, so we're going to look at a couple other text manipulations. So I've got my best pizza in New York. I've got my, let's see, I would probably change this to something like best Wookiee in town. There we go. So there's my little Star Wars version. I'm going to go ahead and create a page 3. You see how they're labeled up here, page 3, page 2, page 1. When I download them, it's going to try to download all 3 by default, all 3 here. But if you only want the 3rd one, then you would simply just click the 3rd one and hit done, and then you only download 1. You can download all 3. It's just going to download them in a zip file. So if you're not familiar with how to export a zip file, which is basically like a bag that holds all your images and you have to open it, then just pick the 1. Maybe I want page 2 instead. And then pay and download, or if you're on the pro version, it would just be download. Now, looking at some of these other text things, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this graphic. I want to do something that's just kind of maybe a pattern background, something simple, because what I want to do is just kind of show you, let's do some marble, some of the text changes that we can do. So going back to effects, and this is where we put in our drop shadow, you now have the ability to also do like hollow text. And I actually kind of dig the hollow text look. Now, it doesn't work so well if it's on a light background like this. So this might be something that you would put with a dark background. It depends on what color your font is, obviously. So if this was black, then obviously this wouldn't work. But since it's white, then on the black background, you can see it a lot better. So you have the ability, pretty much any font that you use, and it comes with a lot of different fonts. Like I can change, let's do something a little scripty just for fun. This one might be too scripty. Yeah, that's too weird. If it's too thin, it would probably have an issue trying to figure out how to cut it out. Like here's one that's a little bit more scripty. Because it's thinner and more like calligraphy, it is harder for it to make it look well with the outline because it's so thin in general. It can still work. This isn't too bad. But if you wanted to have it where it's the outline like that, you probably want to stick to, like this one's not too bad either, like a blocky type text. Here's another script. It doesn't do that one. This one, you see how because it's so swirly, it's hard for it to really get in there and make it look the way it should. So we're going to stick with a blocky text just to show off the hollowed out text effect. There's also Splice. I recently used this one to create some graphics for a client of mine. And this one's kind of cool too because it's kind of like it was cutting out the inside, like splicing it. And then I guess put it under, it's almost like a drop shadow, I guess. But you can change the color. So maybe I want it to be, let's see, a teal outline over blue cut out in the back. I don't like that blue though. Let's go with, go back into our effects and change this blue to like maybe a navy. That's a little better. Blues are hard. There's so many colors. But do something like this. And basically it gives you that outline text, but with a cutout of a different color text underneath of it. So this is another effect they recently added. You also have the ability to do what's called an echo. So it's kind of like a ripple, I guess. And I'm going to zoom in on this one a little bit because it might be hard to see. Yeah, here we go. So you see how it's kind of like 3 layers now. Now you don't really get to choose all 3 layer colors. You choose one, and then it decides the shade colors after that. So if I were to use this purple, I can say you can still change your direction. I'm still going to keep it below, and you can have the offset be a little thinner, or you can have it really be really big. That would look a little weird, but you can change how much the second and third layers stand out from the original layer. But that kind of gives you an extra style to mess with. And they're probably going to continue adding all of these cool styles as they go, but these are the initial ones that they've been putting out. The last one is Lift. Now, Lift I haven't played with as much. I'm actually going to take off the background to show you guys this one. So Lift it's basically another style of drop shadow, but it's just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's centered completely. So I guess it depends on how you want your text to look. Maybe for this one, I think it would be cool to have white text with it in the background. Let's center this. So for this one, it's just if you want a big, massive shadow in the background of the text is what this one seems to be useful for. For me, I usually just stick with the shadow if I want any kind of shadow effect because it's fairly flexible. I can still kind of do this look even with just the shadow. And then I like the hollow. Now, I will show you these other two, but they're more the glitch and neon. They're kind of, they don't let you change the colors of these as much. So let me go ahead and change my text to gray, and then we're going to add, yeah, neon doesn't really let you do much. Let's try glitch. Glitch, my husband doesn't like this one because he says it hurts his eyes, but it's basically like creating 3D glasses. And as a matter of fact, they do have the red and the blue here. So if I wanted to do a 3D glasses, you see how wild that looks? This is more for like techie type stuff. They only give you these two color options right now. Again, they're probably going to be adding to this, but if you wanted something a little wild, this probably would stand out on a thumbnail a little bit, but I think it still would be hard to read. You have the ability to add just a little bit of kind of funkiness to your text with these two features. The neon, I've never used the neon. I guess it's kind of cool if you've got the right color. See how it kind of adds an outline to it and then the fuzz? Maybe if I chose a neon color. So I could see this. Yeah, I could see using it. If you wanted it to be like a neon sign and then maybe, I don't know, maybe somewhere in the middle here and have that be on a background, you could probably do that. So that kind of looks like a neon sign, which is kind of cool if you were going for that look. But those are all the effects that they've added since the last time I was up here. There are a couple other new things. I think I've talked about before. They have animation elements now, which are really neat for graphics. So let's say I really liked this Star Wars one, and maybe I want to make it into a video or an animated GIF to post on social media, because movement and video are what catch people's eyes on social media. It's not so much like graphic is good, but video is better because you want to keep people's attention, and you have about 3 seconds to grab it on Facebook before they're bored and they look for something else. So Animate gives you the ability to add a couple different animation items to your graphics. So if I were to do the Star Wars style graphic, I'm going to play with a couple of these just to see which one would look better. You do have a basic fade, which just brings in the text. You can kind of see that was just a really quick fade in. You have pan, which pans it in from the side. Rise, which brings it up from the bottom. And then tumble, which then tumbles it in from different directions. They do have these other ones. I like Stomp the best, but again, it's a paid version one. You can see that crown on there. That means it's paid. Stomp makes it seem like it was stomped on and it moved. I use that one a lot. I'm trying to remember what some of these others do. Neon's a little weird. Neon like flickers like a neon sign. That one would be a little weird. I probably wouldn't use that for some of the stuff that we do. But I like it for certain things. Actually, I'm just noticing if you hover over these, it kind of gives you an idea of the style that it's doing. So if I hover over stomp, you can see it's kind of just like it's stomping into the screen. If I hover over baseline, it means it's coming up from the bottom like a base, like the baseline of the graphic. If I hover over pop, it just kind of does like a quick pop, and it'll just be the text and the blue lines on this particular graphic. Neon, it's doing the flicker like a neon sign. And then scrapbook was always weird. It's like all the elements come in from different directions. Like it's being put together like a scrapbook. It's kind of cool, but I have yet to have a use for it and stuff that I've done. But maybe I will. Maybe I will. So I'm trying to think of what else I can show you guys real quick. We'll talk about some elements. This is a big one that I think people would find value in for their thumbnails. It's great to have a photo and it's great to have text that looks nice, but sometimes you want to add a little bit more, like a subscribe now button or a YouTube button or something like that. Elements are different types of clip art and graphics and shapes that you can add to your images. So let's say I wanted to add subscribe. Now you'll see, unfortunately, because we're still in the free version, that a lot of these are paid for. You have to pay for. Oops, I didn't put that one in there. And it looks like maybe most of these are. Well, that's not going to help for the free tutorial. Let's see if I can find something that's not paid for. Maybe an arrow. Here we go. So there's some arrows that are free. So let's choose maybe this one. Little arrow. Now you can drag and drop your element anywhere on your canvas here, which is kind of cool. I have the ability to change the color of this arrow. Maybe I want it to be bright pink. We're kind of going 80s sci-fi style here for this graphic, which is weird. You can drag it to be smaller or larger, of course. I'll probably have mine be somewhere in the middle. And then you have this little icon here at the bottom that lets you kind of change the angle of your graphic. So maybe I want the arrow to point in the middle, or maybe down here, or over here. And instead, I'll put a button here. See if they have any button shapes.
Crystal,
they have like a basic. Go ahead.
Crystal, I see when you're changing that, it's always in the same proportion. Can you elongate it, make it taller? I don't know.
Not usually, no.
Okay.
There are certain things you can elongate. Like if I wanted to put in just a simple box or circle, like you have shapes you can add. Let's say if I wanted to add a heart, maybe. Like this one, I can't elongate, but if it's a basic square, I can, because the square, it doesn't have like a certain like shape that it has to, like a consistency it has to stay to.
Okay.
The square can be done in whatever way, but some of these are pre-designed, like this arrow is pre-designed. It doesn't give you the ability to kind of change the width and stuff of that one. But you could, I guess you could technically try to create your own with like, maybe not a triangle. I think the triangle they'd want to stay at proper proportion, but you could certainly use a couple shapes and manipulate the skew of them. So going back to the button, since I can't use some of their pre-designed buttons, we can just kind of create our own. So if I wanted to create kind of a YouTube button, it's even got like kind of the proper color. I could certainly create the button here just by basically dragging it over and then pulling in corner to see how wide I actually want it. And then we want to add text to that. So there's this text option. It gives you a whole bunch of cool initial designs of text that you can use, or you can just create your own. Like it has, you can see some of these. If I click on any of these, it'll add them exactly like that. And you can see it's using some of the new elements, like the neon element, the border element, the weird 3D element. You can add any of these to your graphic with that stuff already placed on there. I totally have the 80s vibe from this one. But I'm not doing that. I just want to add plain text for now. Not fun text, plain text. So we're just going to add a heading. It'll add it right in the middle here. and I'm going to want it to be white. So I'm going to click up here to the color icon and then select my color. It gives you some of the default basic colors initially. So we'll create that one to be white. I'm going to drag it on top of my button, and then I'm going to drag the corner down because I want it to be kind of fitting in the middle here, but slightly offset because I'm going to put subscribe as the text. Now the E dropped down because the box I created was not quite wide enough. So I'm just going to drag it a little bit. So now that the subscribe's right there. And if I wanted to create like a, I guess like you can do a play button. Let's see, is that one free? Yes. So we got a free play button. It comes out black initially. So I'm just going to drag it on top of my little button here. I want to change its color to be white also. Maybe drag my text over, not too far. You can also use the arrows on your keyboard to move stuff around if you want. So if it's too hard to do with your mouse, you can do a little bit moved over with your arrows. So there we go. So it's kind of like a subscribe button. You can't really add drop shadow to shapes, only to text right now. Maybe they will add that eventually. I really hope that they do. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But if I want to move all of these elements over, I don't want to move each element individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of them, hold down my shift key, select the next one. It kind of groups them together. I still have my shift key selected. And I'm going to select the outer button. So now I've got all three selected. I've got the red button shape. I've got the white play little button and the white text. And I'm going to go up here and hit group. And what that's going to do is you still have the elements separate if you need to, but now I only have to just drag one. I don't have to drag them all, which is nice, especially if I have it looking exactly how I want it. So now it's grouped as one element. I can still like double click in here and edit the text if I want. If I have to change anything other than basic colors or something, I would have to ungroup it and then regroup it. But grouping is a neat way to be able to add multiple elements together. So it's like one thing that you have to drag.
Okay, Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Little Feet Farm Homestead is asking, how do you transfer this to your thumbnail?
Transfer this to your thumbnail, like the button, or just for a little clarification.
I'm just reading off the chat here. So
sure.
So
give me an idea of like how do you make this a thumbnail, or just a little clarification. I'll be happy to answer that one. I'm actually not digging this pink anymore either.
Let's just go back to thumbnail 101 very quickly.
Sure.
When you upload a video to YouTube will select 3 different frames out of that video that their machines think, well, this could maybe make a good thumbnail. And you're presented with those as a choice. Anyone, you can pick 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
There's a 4th selection where you can upload your own thumbnail. And I always recommend that you create your own thumbnail because in the first place, they're pulling a frame out of your video, probably not where you want it to be anyway. And the quality is not necessarily as good as it could be. And obviously it's whatever was in the video. In some cases, that's okay, but the majority of the time, that's not what you want to do. So your options at that point are create your own thumbnail, either from a picture you take or a drawing you make or going to a place like Canva. And there are other ones out there, going to a place like Canva and doing it, or creating something from scratch on your own computer. So that's what Crystal is doing here. She's showing you how Canva works because Canva has some templates that get the sizing correct for you. It gets you all this stuff for the elements, the fonts, the being a little bit fancy, the drop shadows and outlining and this and that. And if you don't want to buy an expensive editing program, we have alternates for that. I mean, you can have state-of-the-art editing programs for free. And we can talk about that later, but
so basically, the Canva program gives you the default size for your thumbnail automatically. It has all kinds of different sizes. So if I were to go back to, this is your initial screen when you log in, you want to create something with your create a design button. It gives you the option to search for, it could be anything from Facebook sized items, like Facebook cover photo is a different size than a Facebook profile photo or an event cover photo or a Facebook post. As far as YouTube goes, it gives you the dimensions automatically to create channel art, which is like your banner at the top. If you were creating ads and you wanted to display ads somewhere, your YouTube icon, it gives you the measurements for that. But what we did is we clicked YouTube thumbnail, and that created this box size here, which you can see. It looks like the same size as a YouTube thumbnail. So what you do at that point is once you have that blank canvas that's in the shape of a YouTube thumbnail, then you start adding and manipulating your elements. It gives you some default templates, which we went over earlier. So if I were to delete, let's see, go down and I'm going to delete this one, all these elements real quick, just to show you, like if you have your blank Canva, anything else in here? No. You have some default templates that you can start with. So it could be really you can select any of these to start with and then manipulate. And what we did is we started with this one, and then we've just kind of been changing things on it. And then once I have it the way I want it, I'm going to change out this one photo here though, because I know this one's paid. There's a free pizza photo. So now everything on here is free and available to download. So I would basically, once I have my thumbnail the way I want it, go up here to download it as, usually I just download it as a ping, which is a high quality image. And since thumbnails are just images, you don't need to worry about videos. And I just want this last page, page 4. You can see in my list here all the ones I've been manipulating during the video, but this last one is just the one I want. So I'm going to select that one. And then I download. What it does is it downloads it to your computer. All of your design elements are there. It's just like creating your own graphic. And then if I go over to my YouTube, where I've uploaded a sample video, it does select by default some screens from your video to be your thumbnail, but they're never good. They're never where you want them to be. So you would just hit upload thumbnail. Is it not letting me do that for some reason? Let's try. I'm not sure why it's not letting me. I think this is because I'm not even on my channel account right now. Let me switch to my channel account and try it. And it won't show you my password, so don't worry. But you just upload the image that you created, and then that's your channel art. That's what shows up in your list. That's what shows up when you share it. So it's always good to have channel art. I actually prefer it because it gives you the ability to customize it. You're not relying on making sure you get the good view of you when you're trying to share it around. So, so now my video is uploading. I go down to here where it says I can upload a thumbnail. It's trying to choose right now what a default thumbnail would be, but I'm not going to use those. Here's my best pizza in New York City graphic that I created. Let me move me out of the way here. I hit open, and that is now my thumbnail. So any graphic that I create in Canva, it's going to allow me to upload it to YouTube, and it's going to be the proper size, proper dimensions, and you get to customize it, which is the best part. Does that kind of answer your question? I hope. So we've got in our Star Wars themed thumbnail, we've got my subscribe button we've created because they didn't have any free ones. We've got our arrow, but the arrow doesn't really stand out. So I'm going to work on figuring out different color for that.
The arrow sucks.
I'm live on YouTube right now, husband.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Donald just woke up. So he's getting ready to go to work. So there, I got an arrow now. It could be the red. I might make it a little bigger if I wanted. And I don't really like that arrow necessarily, but for this purpose, it's fine. Crystal. So this would technically be my thumbnail at that point.
Christy, a couple more comments here in the chat. Living Miracle is asking, how do you get your own pick on it?
Oh, like your face or your logo?
I mean, you know, that's all she says is how do you get your own pick on it, and you actually touched on that earlier, but
Okay.
I'm putting these in the back of your head here. We'll kind of go through that. Let me go through these other questions.
Sure.
Let's see. Graph using the video, thumbnails. I thought there was something else that they asked here about. I think somebody was under the impression that like this subscribe thing was actually something that they could put into their video. And in essence, it is. It would not be clickable in your video. But it's it's something that you could, and there's tons of pictures and graphics and even some video, free video that would have the subscribe moving that you could incorporate that into your video, but it would not be clickable. That's the important thing to remember. It's not a clickable item.
Yeah, you can't create. I guess when you upload your video, you can't create things in your video that are clickable. Now, what is clickable on YouTube? You can create your subscribe button, which a lot of channels do, and actually. I think we do on some of our videos too. I'll just to show as an example. I'll do this one, but I don't want to be in the studio. So you have the ability to create your kind of like
an end screen.
Yeah, your end screen. You have the ability to have. I'm trying to think of one that I did this on recently in my channel. You know what I'm talking about though. The subscribe button.
Yeah, with the end screen, you can have it identify your channel, somebody else's channel. When they click on it, it'll take them to that channel to subscribe to,
so
either yours or somebody else's.
So right here on the bottom right, you have the ability to put any image you want here as your subscribe button on your video. That's one of the clickable elements that you can put on a YouTube video. Another one, and I don't know that I have any in this one. I don't think I do. I don't think so. But I will show you. Go ahead.
I think you'll find it under branding, the lower right.
Yeah. Like this button isn't clickable, but I did put this as kind of an end screen. It is animated. I did do animation. You see how this arrow moves? That's animation that I did in Canva to just kind of highlight to point to that subscribe button. I haven't really made a good end screen graphic yet for my channel, but I haven't needed to yet. So, and then the only other elements is if you are pinging another video of yours or someone else's video, it has that little graphic that pops down at the top. I don't know what they call that though. Daryl might know the official term for that. But you can do a slight animation and you can make video. I've done video in Canva that I used in my editing for my videos simply because I didn't have footage that worked. It was one of my first videos I did with you guys. It was when, let me think. I think it was this one. And I'll fast forward to the point I'm talking about. So yeah, right about here. This is when I first started, getting into the community and everything, but I needed a way to explain some things, why we hadn't been around. And I didn't want it to just be text on something flat. So what I did was you can see this animation video in the background as filler. So you can do video in Canva as filler and put text on top of it like this. So you do have that option as well. If that makes sense. And I can show you how to do that real quick too. We still have 10 minutes. So he says, I know some folks who use a subscribe button as a watermark instead of their logo or brand. Yeah, and that's a lot of, whoops, my thing came out of my ear. That's what a lot of people do. They put a subscribe button on their video rather than their logo. I preferred the logo for now. But, subscribe button works too. So let's look at video real quick. So we're still in the same shape of the YouTube thumbnail, which is technically the same shape that you use in your YouTube video in general. It's the same dimensions. So I'm going to get rid of this text because what we're going to do is we're going to add video and use Canva to manipulate it. Because that's another new feature actually, is they give you the option to edit the timing on your videos now in Canva. Now it's just videos that you've uploaded to Canva, and it's just for like fading to the next screen. It's still very rudimentary, but I think you guys will find some value in it too. So in videos, you have all these tabs here, by the way. Uploads are where you upload your files. It could be your videos, your graphics, pictures of you. Photos is where you would find stock photography that you want to use. Elements are like shapes and squares and stickers, charts, gradients. You can have like a cool little gradient, like a paint swirly thing you can add. And you can change the color of the gradients too, so it can be customized to your colors. They've got like clip art. I think, yeah, a bunch of clip art that you can add to your photos. But what I want to focus on is video, because there's stock video that you can use too. So let's just search for nature. Oh, this is my favorite tree ever, by the way, guys. I love white birch. So here's this cool white, there's no music, there's no sound, but it's a cool effect that you can then add to your videos, like an in-between scenes type video. So we've got our video. Now we want to add text on top of it. It can be something like, I could use one of their default styles they've got going on here. They're kind of not naturey. We could try this one. It's kind of got the same colors. So, and I can manipulate this text to say anything I want. I am and I will. I mean, however you want it, really. And then if I hit the play button again, then you can kind of see how the video plays behind that text. Now, it could be an in-between screen to introduce the next section of your video. It can be an explanation. I use it mostly as an explanation when I don't have something to put behind it. I don't have the proper footage, because I use a cell phone for all my footage. I don't really get great footage. But this is a way to provide some quality, high resolution video, and then use that for an intro screen. Actually, all of our intro screens are done this way on our videos. So let me go back. I don't know if I did intro on this particular video. No. But all my latest ones, like let's do this one. And go back to the beginning. So this footage in the background was all done in Canva. And then I layered our logo on top of it. So like an intro screen can be done with Canva as well, with stock video, if that's what you want. I like doing it that way just because I like it to feel professional, even if the rest of the video is not. So this is what I would use this for. And you can use it for explaining something about what's about to come up. Like we had a video where we had to dispatch a raccoon that was killing our chickens. I didn't want to show footage of that, so I just had like a picture or a video, like a stock video, and then an explanation. We're not going to show you the guts and the glory, but this is what happened. So that's another way that you could use this feature as well, if that helps. But that's the way you can do video. Now, if you have your video in and you know that, I'm trying to think of how to explain this. You can actually go from one video that you've created to another and have it automatically transition to that video. Let me show you as an example, because I know that's a little confusing. Let's say for this second page, I want it to be this video instead. And maybe I want the text to just say welcome in that same font. We're going to ungroup this because this is, let's get rid of this one. Oops. And get rid of the and. So then we just got welcome in the center here. And maybe I want it to transition from this one to this video, and it transitions them seamlessly. So it's going from one video to another as if you were editing it yourself in Adobe Premiere or something like that. So what you would basically do is on this video, you would determine if you wanted to trim it. You can trim the size of this video if you didn't want to run it that long. So I can kind of just drag this and be like, I want it to maybe run for 6 seconds. Let's say 6 seconds. And then it flips to the next screen, which is this one. And maybe I want this one to be definitely don't want it to be 21 seconds. Maybe this one only be 3 seconds. Tell you what, 3 seconds is long when you're not thinking about it. Then what I can do is download just those two screens together. So the two screens, it's page 4 and page 5 of my entire screen here. Get me out of the way. And that lets you download it as an MP4 video. I don't know that it's going to let me, I might have to reshare my screen to show you what this looks like, the transition from one to the other, but you do have the ability to mix two videos together like this. And I'll show you what the outcome is. Whole Heart Heritage says, this is so over my head. It's actually, it's very intimidating at first because there's so many cool options that you can do on Canva that people, they just don't realize is available. And what I like about it is it actually is very easy to use once you just kind of dive in. Like, again, everything I'm doing now is on the free account. So you can dive in anytime and start messing with things and just get used to the different features. What do they do? Experiment with them. And then look up videos on YouTube on how to do it too. So I'm going to share my screen again, but I'm going to share it with the actual screen itself.
Crystal, can you upload your own videos to Canva to work on?
Yes, you can. And I've done that before too, but I wanted to show you guys real quick. I'll show you that as well. I'll upload a video that you guys can take a look at. Can you guys see my screen still?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the video we just created in Canva between this scene and the next scene. So it's now a video file that combines these two scenes together. And I'll play it again real quick. But you kind of get the feel, you kind of get the vibe of what I'm trying to explain here is that you can take these two videos or clips together and make them one video and then implement that into your YouTube videos.
Crystal,
so
what I'm not seeing though, I mean, it's a sharp cutoff.
It is a sharp cutoff. There is a way to, am I still in my screen here? Yeah. To change the transition. So let me, up here at the top, the timing, let's see, I think that, I want to increase the timing. I don't know how much I want to increase. So let's do 8 seconds. We'll start with 8 seconds. And then let me re-download it and see it, because it's been a while since I've messed with this feature. I'm going to re-download these two as one video and see if it does like a brief transition period of that many seconds between the two. But yeah, it will do a sharp cutoff if you don't change the setting for this. So I'll just show you guys that real quick.
Now, on the other side of that, there are a lot of free video editing tools out there, which would also give you a lot of different transitions. You can meld those together with.
That's too sharp. Yeah, there is a way to do it in Canva. I'm just trying to remember it off the top of my head because it's been a while. But yeah, I mean, I usually just do simple fades, and I use DaVinci. But there is a way to do fades in here. I'm just trying to remember what it is. It's been a while. I'm pretty sure this was it. I just don't remember. I don't remember at this moment. I might have to do another one where we just go over video editing in Canva, which might be useful. What was the other thing I was going to show you guys? There was something else. It might have been a comment. Can you add music to those two screens? You can in a different editor, but not in Canva. Canva does not allow you to add music. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you guys, how to upload video. So yeah, Canva does not do music yet. I wish it did, but it doesn't. Now I have a couple of videos that I've done recently. Here's an example of one that I did for a client the other day. It is an MP4. It was, let me see what size it is. It's 21 megabytes. So we're going to test this out if it lets me transfer it. Basically, you just select the video that you want to upload that you've already got available, and you drag it over. And you see how it automatically highlights the drop to upload your file. So I'm going to drop it. And it looks like it's going to take it. So it might take a little bit to upload, though. You can see the upload icon is kind of like it's trying to fill a glass. That's its indicator that it's uploading something. So once this uploads, we're going to stick that in somewhere and show you guys what you can do. My husband's giving me weird looks right now. Another thing I wanted to highlight, and I've mentioned it in previous Canva videos, is do you see when I move text around, there's these pink crosshairs that show up? Basically, that's giving me an indicator on whether or not I'm centered in the box that I've got available. So right now, this graphic is centered from left to right, but it's not centered from top to bottom until I bring it down a little further, and there's the other crosshair. So now this text is perfectly centered in my video. So that's what those pink crosshairs are. So my 48-second video is here. I'm just going to click it once, and it's going to throw it in. I'm going to pause it. It's really loud in my ear. It does bring the sound with you, by the way. You just can't create your own sound in here. We're going to have this be a lot smaller. And maybe drag it to be about that big. So you can technically have another video inside this video, or just have it, if you just want like a plain background behind here, just put this graphic in here like that. So then I've got a video on top of a graphic with my own text, and I can download that as a video, as an MP4, and it'll basically keep this static like it would a normal graphic, but this video will still play in the background with the sound attached to it. So that's an option as well. If you wanted like a video embedded in a graphic to have it look a certain way, you could certainly do that. Did I miss any other questions? I feel like I'm talking a little fast. So if I'm going too fast for anybody, definitely let me know. I'll slow down. There's all kinds of features in Canva that we're not going to be able to cover tonight, but I'm hoping I'm giving people some ideas on things that they can at least experiment with. The benefit of Canva is, even with, because we're doing everything we've done tonight in the free account, is you can create as many different files as you want just to experiment with the features. You can see this is just one file, and I've already got how many screens here now? 5 screens that I've been playing with in just one file. You can create as many files as you want. Like I've got, you'll see it when I refresh the page. Here's the one I've been working on. And these are other 2 that I worked on in previous lives with 2 family. They're always there. I can go in and manipulate them. If I like it, but I just want to try out some other things, you can make a copy of it and have 2 versions, and then do all the kinds of changes you want to. It won't affect the original file at all. So, it doesn't hurt to just experiment as well. Yeah, like Mama Z says, get it and play with it. And honestly, if anybody has questions with how to do things on Canva, you're welcome to message me anytime at Kettle Farms on Instagram or Facebook. Our Gmails, copperkettlefarms@gmail.com. We have all kinds of different ways that you can get a hold of us, but I'm happy to answer questions. And, I think 2 Family wants to have me do additional videos on this stuff at some point in time. I don't know if it's like once a month or what, but, if you give me topic ideas, I'll create a whole little tutorial on how to do it.
Go ahead and put yourself back on the screen here.
Sure. And I'm going to give you...
and I'll put us both up here.
Yeah, I think... Thing again. There we go.
She reminds me of a person looking over a wall.
My husband's going to give me a kiss real quick because he's going to work, so I apologize. Bye, husband.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, like we can't say
Yeah, like, okay, Donald. We didn't see that, Donald.
Daryl says they didn't see that, Donald. Have fun at work.
Okay. We are kind of out of time here tonight, but Mama Z, I see your question. Teach me how to do the end screens. The end screens that's really something more YouTube directly. The end screens, informational screens, adding keywords to your videos. Those are all topics that we have covered and will continue to cover. And I think we would like to have Crystal back. I don't know, once a month or something. Whatever you guys think.
I mean, whatever you guys want, I'm happy to do. I don't know. I think it'd be beneficial if I figured out a topic ahead of time. That way I'm not. So I felt like I was a little all over the place with this one, but there were a lot of really good questions. So, but I could create a sample logo or a sample.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked thumbnails primarily tonight. And we didn't even touch on banners.
Yeah.
Didn't even touch on banners. And if you folks in the chat would like, I mean, we're doing this for you people that are in the chat. I mean, that's the that's the whole thing. It's for you folks in the chat that maybe give you some ideas, ways to do different things. We're not. Chris and I are both of the mindset. Hey, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. Sometimes you do spend a little bit, but you want to be careful with what you do.
Yeah, and again, everything that we created tonight was free. So you have a lot of options even with the free version.
I mean, nobody disagrees that Adobe makes fantastic editing products, but they're very expensive. And I know that I heard Crystal say, oh, I use DaVinci. Well, hey, that can be expensive, but it's also very free.
Yeah, I use the free version of DaVinci to edit our videos. It probably limits some of the fancy stuff, but I don't
not much.
use the fancy stuff. So, and then I actually use Photoshop for business. So I do use Adobe products. I just don't use it for my channel, really.
And for those of you maybe that wonder, the thumbnail for tonight's show was actually done on a program called Paint.net, which is totally free for PCs. Could have done it also on GIMP, which would make it a multi-platform free program to do that.
Yeah, and it was a Snapchat filter on that image with the crazy eyes and the mask of me. I saw that today and I was like, wait a minute.
See, when you come on our show, anything you have out there in your social media thing is free game. And if I find it, I can use it.
Makes sense.
So, Sherry, you got any questions? All right. I want to thank everybody. I want an end screen plate. I want the pro end screen.
Yeah, Mama Z, I can work with you on that. And then whatever we figure out, maybe that can be something we can bring to the table next time.
Keita Homestead, is that better than iMovie Editor? Well, iMovie is strictly a Mac product. You can't. The majority of people, believe it or not, run PCs, not Macs. So you are already putting yourself into the group of left-handed people, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with iMovie at all, and I'm not saying that there is. It's just a lot of things you can do. We're going to say iMovie cannot do anything so unique that other programs can't do it too. Is that a good way to put it?
And we could do a basic DaVinci tutorial too. Like, I'm still learning DaVinci. There's a lot of settings I don't ever mess with. But as far as basic editing and fades and layers.
You don't have their $30,000 desktop controls?
No, I was going to try to buy it to do, like, one thing I wanted to do that DaVinci doesn't allow in the free version is for a video to spin. I had a client ask me to create a video that spins, and it does not allow that in the free version. But it's not like I would use that often anyway. So,
did it have to go turn inside out or anything, or just spin?
Just spin.
Well, if you want to just spin, you can do that with Power Director.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I haven't messed with Power Director yet. I should try that one.
So anyway, lots of good stuff out there. Stay in touch with me, and we will try to plan out some stuff. If we get too heavy on, and I don't know that we will. I mean, a couple of weeks ago I did a thing on OBS. We've had Morgan on here, and he's talked about things. We had Big Bear Homestead on here talking about Adobe. And I certainly know some folks that have some of these other programs that are very competent in it. And most of them are more than willing to share. We just give them the platform to do that.
Yeah, and my goal right now with our channel is to see how far we can go with the free products and see what our capabilities are. And then once we've hit our limit, then decide whether we want to upgrade. But there's still a lot you can do with a lot of these free programs.
Well, the other thing with Canva, I mean, you can do that with your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, it does have the phone option. We could certainly do a Zoom where I show my phone and editing in that one at some point, but it's not as flexible. Like that page that we created with the 5 different video images or thumbnails, if you were to download that on your phone, and you can download it once you've created it, it downloads all 5. You don't get to select which one to download, which isn't bad. You just have to delete the other ones that you didn't need. So there's certain things like that that aren't easy to use on the mobile.
Okay. Crystal, thank you so much. Keto Homestead, I see your message here. I will go back through the mail. I thought that I had answered all your questions, but maybe I missed one, so I will go back through that. Anything else from you, Crystal?
No, I think I'm good. I'm happy to answer questions. I always appreciate Daryl and Sherry letting me come on and geek out, because I will geek out, and I'm glad that they cut me off, because I would have been still geeking out at this point, I think.
Okay.
So thank you guys so much for that opportunity.
You are so welcome. So stick around here for a moment, and
Sure.
folks, we will see you Thursday, 5 o'clock. Have a wonderful
Get
week.
your channel reviewed.
Take care. Bye-bye.